I'm going to show you how to basically run a long-running task for free using DynamoDB and AWS Lambda. So the idea here is I just have to give a big background for what the motivation is. So we have here so I run blockchainapi.com, and anybody can add a function on here to the API that other people can use, and then when those people use them, they make money from it. So so this is the GitHub repo. People can add functions, and I encourage you to check it out. So the motivation here is when they do add a function, they only get 50 seconds of compute time. So if it doesn't complete in 50 seconds, then basically the function will be turned off effectively, or shut down, killed, and so whatever computation that they were trying to perform with under that time frame, they would not be able to do. So the motivation is if you need to perform something for 120 seconds up to 5 minutes, this is a way to do it for basically for free, up until you reach some sort of scale. And so then the second sort of motivation is that, let's say if you want to just create a server and have something constantly running on there, you could, but then all of a sudden now you have to pay for the month to manage that. So this is a way to basically ensure that you can scale for basically for free up until a fairly large amount of requests. So Lambda has a very generous free tier. So you start by actually, let me go back. You start by creating an AWS account, and then I would go to console.aws.amazon.com. Okay, it'll redirect you to the appropriate thing, and then the first thing we'll do first is create a Dynamo table. So the way this is going to work is, let's say in the context of the API program, so the short running task that only has 50 seconds of compute is going to send a signal somehow to this other thing to start the long running task that has 5 minutes. And then that will create a database entry of the result of the long running task. And then somebody can run another short running task to check whether it has completed. So they can poll it. Has it completed? Has it completed? Yes, it has. Here are the results. So that's what they can do. So basically how this is going to work is you're going to have DynamoDB receives the initiation. So it starts with Dynamo, then Lambda, then Dynamo. And how that works is the short process is going to start off by saying, hey, Dynamo, put in this entry in the table. So Dynamo is a database. It's just a table, right? So it's put in the entry. And then when you put in the entry, that automatically will notify Lambda to do some sort of computation and run whatever program you have. And then once it's done, you can basically add in the results to another DynamoDB table, and then it can be pulled, right? So the results can be pulled. So let's start with going to DynamoDB. So basically what you want to do is you go to console.aws.amazon.com, click DynamoDB, or search it up here, and then click Create Table. And so first we're going to say task requests, and then the other table is going to be task results. And the partition key is going to be task ID. Okay, you could do a sort key, that's optional. Every item in the table can only have a unique combination of a partition and a sort key. So if you don't have a sort key, then basically the partition key is a unique identifier. Okay, default settings, create table. Okay, great. And then we're going to create another table. Get rid of these. And we're going to call it, let's keep the same name scheme. So we're going to call it task results and then task ID. So it's the same partition key, different table name. Okay. So they're both ready. Now, one thing I'm going to show you is if you think you're not going to use it much for a couple weeks or so, then what you can do is basically change the capacity so that it is, instead of provisioned, it is on demand. Because then it will only charge you what you use. So as you can see right now, when you provision it, you're basically paying for a certain amount of capacity at a minimum. So each table at this level is going to cost us about $3 a month. If you don't even want to pay that, which I don't blame you, you just change it to on demand. You see that? Edit, on demand. And you can save that. And then basically, if you don't use it at all, it's going to cost $0 a month. So you're only going to use what you use. You're only going to pay for what you use, but you will also pay more because you're using it on demand rather than paying in advance, right? So, okay. So we did that. Now we're going to configure Lambda. So Lambda is basically what's going to happen is first we're going to put in an item into the table. That's a task request. So it's going to have whatever information we need about the task request. And then that's going to trigger a Lambda function, which is going to do the computation. And then that's going to put something in task results. Okay. So we're going to call this run long function, and we're going to do it in Python. I like 3.7. Okay. Oops. Okay. All right. Create function. So yeah, just use the basic permissions. Here, that's just basically just says what permissions, what resources in your AWS account does this service have to is allowed to target. So there are a lot of ways to deploy your Lambda function. So when your Lambda function is called, it invokes this function Lambda handler, okay, and it runs this code. So you can basically do a few things. If you need to import packages besides just JSON, like you end up having to import, say, I don't know, some other package, it can start to get a little tricky getting it into just Lambda, and you might run into, an issue where you do have to compile different packages and then make it into this thing, but just figure it out as you go. So I'll just keep that in mind is all I'm saying. So in other words, if you do need to import a package, it's running on Linux, so you can't compile that package, put it in here from your desktop computer, and then run it. Just thought I'd mention that in case you try to do that, because then it won't work. And then you'll basically you see here, actually my top voted question is this question to do with Lambda, actually, or top voted answer, actually, sorry. I don't know how to see it. Anyways, it's a good reference thing. Let me see. Whatever. Okay. I'll link it in the description. Okay, so the first thing is we're gonna post. So first we're just gonna do this, right? Let's test it. Actually, well, first let's go back to the role. So what we're gonna want to do, remember, what we're gonna want to do is we're gonna want to put something in DynamoDB. Okay, we're gonna have to put the results in DynamoDB. So I think what we're gonna do first is gonna test the Lambda function to make sure it can put something in the DynamoDB results. Okay, so I think that's a good place to start. Sorry, I'm just sort of doing this off the cuff. So let's find the Lambda role, because we're gonna have to give it DynamoDB permissions. So actually, just open up another tab. console.aws.amazon.com. Go to IAM, Identity Access Management, and go to roles, and then search up Lambda. Oh, users, no, it's roles, Lambda. Oh, run long function role. You see that? Edit it. Oh, whoops. Let's just add a policy. We have to add a policy for Dynamo. So it will automatically access Dynamo. Okay, great. DynamoDB full access. Attach it. Okay, so now basically the role is automatic. So we don't have to like use secret keys or anything when we're writing in this function. It's automatically the credentials are automatically passed into whatever call we make. Furthermore, Boto 3 is pre-installed. So Boto 3 is the SDK for AWS's, for AWS for Python. So it's already installed and our credentials are passed, which means we can just go Dynamo table equals Boto 3 resource. I forgot how to do this. So I have, you see this Boto 3 client? You actually just need to do this. So see, normally, client. Okay. Anyways, okay, so just initialize Boto 3. And you don't actually need any of this because, again, the credentials are already passed. So then go DynamoDB. And let's see. And then now we can just call the client. So client.table, let's see. Boto 3. Yeah, so that's what we did. Let's see, put item. Whoops. Yeah, so that's what we have to do. Okay, so this is going to be super easy. Client.put item table name item. Well, let's just copy because I'm too lazy right now. Okay, so when you create a Dynamo table, no matter, it's NoSQL, so there's no specific schema you have to follow, except the only keys that you have to include are the partition key and the sort key if you defined it when you created the table. In this case, we did not. Therefore, the only key we need is the partition key. Okay, so that key happens to be task ID. So we can just say task ID 1, and you're going to want to randomly generate this, and it's a string, so this would be a string of 1. And then the table is task results, right? Oh, and by the way, we're going to want to delete the request too, because we completed it, assuming that we did. And you can call delete item, and even if it doesn't exist, it's not going to throw an error, so it should be fine. Okay, so now we can basically test this, and it should just work no matter what data we pass in, because we're not even relying on the data. Test event. Okay, so this is saying I did something wrong when I was calling Boto 3. Item must be one of table name unknown parameter in input item. Missing key. Oh, what? Oh, delete. Oh, because I deleted item. It should be that. Sorry. Okay. But this one stays like this. Yes, this is line 12. Okay, let me just look at the documentation for delete items since that's the one we're having trouble with. Key. Yeah, that's what I did. Do you have to do string? Okay, I guess sometimes it's like, it just does, oh wait. It just does silly things like this. It wants me to do this silly format because it can't auto-detect a string for some reason. Okay, so that's how it wants me to do it. Line 20. Okay, so delete item passed. It's now at line 20. Okay, I guess it also wants me to do that here. Okay. Cool. There we go. It completed. So this is the final code. Let's see. Now we can go here and look at all the items. Let's see. 0. Is that request? Yeah. Oh, whoops. 1. Okay, so it's actually in the table. Let's find it. I'm not used to this new DynamoDB layout, so I don't actually have it. Yeah, I really like the old layout. Explore items, I guess. Okay, here's all the items. Cool. And then you can basically put in, here, all of the other, sort of information that you want. Just follow these documentations, right? If you're going to have, this is a mapping, right? So if you wanted more intense stuff, you're going to have to recursively map it. It's pretty damn annoying that they have this format. Okay, so blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, this is going to be, like let's say your output is calculation. What was my calculation? Then it will be, number 101, something like that. All right, so we can do deploy, test. Oh. Valid types class string. What? Okay, ends a string for some reason. Okay, so no matter what, it's a string. I get it. It's still a number, but hold on, I just didn't deploy before I ran test. That's the only reason it's still giving that there. Okay. Refresh, and now you have this, calculation number thing. Result. God, the other format's so much better. Calculation 101. Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, so now the only other thing is now we need to, now I just want to point something out. Okay, so let's say, so one thing is, okay, basically, wait, sorry, we need a couple things. So one is, let's do a random task ID. So from random, actually, we have to know what task ID was given to us, right? So when this function is called, we have to know what task ID was it, right? And so we'll do that in a second. Because that, then how do we know like what functions run? So that's one thing. The other thing is we're gonna want to configure it. so that it doesn't time out after 3 seconds, because the default timeout is 3 seconds. Okay, so you can set this to, let's say, I think it's 15 minutes is the long, so you get 15 minutes of basically free compute with Lambdas, which is just awesome. Okay. Okay, so now the only thing we have left to do with Lambda is basically to figure out how to get this task ID. So in order to do that, the first thing we're going to do is add it into here. We're going to add it as a trigger in here. Then we're going to print the information and parse it that way, and trigger it. Okay, and then we're almost done. So let's see. Let's go to update settings, task requests. There should be triggers over here. Additional settings, maybe. Let's see. Oh, God. I just want the other layout back. Okay, whatever. I think I can do it from here anyways. You just click add trigger, and then you click DynamoDB. Task requests, batch size, just do 1. It'll make your life easier. For now, you know, if you want to play around with that later and optimize it, you can figure out how to loop through everything. But let's just assume it's 1. Okay, add. Resource in use. What the hell does that mean? Okay, so this table, even though we updated it a while ago, it's still updating here. And so it means that we can't add a trigger while it's updating. So I'm going to have to pause this and wait for it to finish updating. And then we'll come back. Okay, so the table's now active, which means that we can now add this Lambda trigger. Great. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the code, go back to the Lambda function, and then just print sort of event context. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to trigger it in Python. Okay. God damn it. Okay, so let's see. This is an old tutorial. Okay, so we're going to trigger it in Python. And what we're going to do is we're going to first just add a, basically we're going to add a item to the request table, and then we're going to and that should trigger the Lambda, and then we're going to be able to see, okay, what you know, what was printed here. So we're just gonna, you know, brute force it rather than look in the documentation. So import boto3 main. Okay, so you have to install boto3. Okay. So if you want a sort of smaller version of boto3, there's a way to do the raw request, but it's just a pain. Okay, and then the credentials, scroll to the top. Let's see, AWS access key ID, AWS secret access key. We're going to get these in a second. And then AWS region. That should be a parameter. I don't see it on here, but it should be. I'm pretty sure it is, because I think we're US West 1. You can see what you are by going here. US West 1, US East 2, you see? So you have to put that in there. And then client. Again, basically, actually just put, it's this exact same thing as here. except you know, it's going to be task request, right? And then import, yeah. Except here, yeah, and then from random, import random int, and we'll do a, you know, just to generate a random task ID. Okay. So now we just have to get the keys, and then everything should work, and then we have to format the Lambda, and then we're done. Okay. So let's go to here, IAM again. So you go to console.avs.amazon.com, click IAM, click users, just create a. These are both. Just gonna delete these because I don't need them anymore. Okay. So test access key, programmatic access, next permissions, next tags, next, oh, has no permissions, whatever. Okay, we'll change that in a second. So you can get really like funky with the permissions and say just this table and just this region, and be super specific so that if somebody does compromise your account, or if your account is compromised, then you can remedy that. Then basically you can sort of just make sure that the impact is very limited. So you can be pretty good about it. So right now this account actually does nothing. So right now I'm just gonna do something scary and just do administrator access. Because I'm just gonna delete this after. Okay, so now let's go back to task request. Go to explore items, and you'll see there's nothing here. And I can refresh it, and there's still nothing here. And then we're going to play this, run this. Region ID, excuse me. Okay, so I somehow need to initialize the region, and it's not letting me. Because if we don't, it's just not going to work, but let's try anyways. Yeah, see, not found, because the default's going to be some other region. Okay. Region name, maybe? Okay. Oh, okay, that worked. All right, now go back here, refresh. There it is. There's the item. Okay, great. Now that means our Lambda should have ran. What creating? What are you creating? Okay. Logs. Okay, go to monitor, go to logs, recent invocations. It should have just been invoked. So find the most recent timestamp. Let's see, it's 1818. I don't see any that match 18 or even close, or 17. Well, I'm looking through. Yeah, if you just click it and go to CloudWatch is much more intuitive to look through all this. Okay, so it says, yeah, which is these. Remember, these were the errors we got earlier. So CloudWatch is much easier to sort of parse through these logs. So just go to that. Now you can see 1818. See, I can see them so much clearer now here. Okay, let's click this one. Okay, so this is the record we got, right? So this is exactly what we needed. So you'll see that it'll give us the keys of the task ID. You can actually, there's a setting, for purposes of brevity, I'm gonna not try to figure out how to do it, but there is a setting where you can include the entire DynamoDB item, but I believe the default trigger is to just return the keys. Let me see if I just see it up here. There might be a way to sort of edit this so that it sends like the entire record. But whatever, it doesn't matter. Well, actually it might, because you might have something in the record that, you know, like a dictionary or something, and you do want to return the entire record here, right? So like, for example, you might have, let's say, contents mapping to, you know, super user ID or something, I don't know, a string, and then, you know, blah, 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 blah. That might also be something that you might have in your table, and that would be information that you would need for the task at hand, right? And so that's probably not by default past your function. So let's refresh 1821. This takes a couple seconds. Sometimes it takes a second to run on run there, but it should already be here. Well, it just overwrites this currently, so we can't tell. Okay, well, while that's loading, we'll try to figure out how to, we're almost done. We just have to figure out how to change it to actually including an item, the whole DynamoDB item. So how about Lambda pass the entire DynamoDB item? Let's see if somebody does this. Nice. Yeah, so it has the new image here. Actually, you know what? This might be sufficient because here it actually has, oh, it did include it, so it does have super user ID. Okay, so here, yeah, you just have new image. You just key into new image. Okay, so whatever, we have that. Okay, so now what we have to do, we're almost done. Now we basically remember that we set the batch when we were creating this trigger. We set the batch to 1 instead of like 100. So because of that, I'm just going to key into the first index, and then you can change it later. So let's just say records equals event records, right? So I print event context. So this is event records. Go to the first one, 0. And then you're going to want to make sure it's insert, right? Because when you delete an item, it's going to trigger a request in here. So you don't want to run into like an infinite loop. So you just sort of go like this. Well, you could just say if it equals insert, do all this, right? Okay. And then you want to say, let's see, new image, right? No, DynamoDB. Hold on, I think I have, wait, records, 0, yeah, okay, so Dynamo item, so we're just going to say the item equals this new image. And that's going to contain both the contents and the task ID. Okay, so contents equals, and then task ID equals. Okay, so now we have everything. If we know for sure that this super UID is going to be in there, then we can even just say super UID equals contents super UID, right? Can you do that? Oh no, you have to index into M and all this stuff. So you have to go like this, M, S, so stupid. and then index into super user ID and go like S like that. Okay. And then just do, process data, right? Let's say this is going to be super user ID times 2. So you're just going to extend it by twice, just so we, did some sort of processing. And say that this is now, calculation is, and times 2 is just going to extend it by 2, right? Like extend the length twice. Like it's going to double the length. And then the task ID, we're going to want to put in the task ID that we received. Okay, and then we can say result, you can say whatever we want. So that should work. So now for fun, let me just delete all of these items. Oh my God, they like to make things so difficult, especially deleting stuff. Oh, okay. They probably will have me type in delete in like some funky format or something. Oh no, they actually. AWS likes to make deleting things super hard. Okay. All right. So we have no items. Now just run this code. And okay, just inserted a task with a random number, the amount that we need. Oh, whoops. Let's see, task request. Okay, so see, it's still in the request queue, which means it still needs to be processed. So I wonder if there was some sort of error. It probably crashed. So the Lambda function's natural default when it crashes is to retry it. Yeah, see, key error records. What did we do wrong? Oh, I lowercased it. And if you see here, be careful with the compute, because Lambda's natural policy, just whatever you're doing, just keep in mind, Lambda will retry it a ton of times. See all of these? This is one because of one issue with Lambda, and it's retrying a bunch of times. So I already deployed it with this capital R. So now let's go back here and see the task results. Nope. Okay, let's just delete it. Try again. I don't want to wait for it to figure it out. Six, 5, 3, 5. All right. And also, every time you deploy it, it will recreate a new log group automatically. Record is not defined. Name record is not defined. Did I not define it? Oh, record. Oh, whoops. I should have said record. Actually, hold on, this is not saving. Okay. Oh, did you see that? So this is the original task ID. Oh, because, and it just put in the original user ID and not the calculation because I didn't do process data in here. Okay, so last thing, just deploy it again, just so we actually have the process data. And let's delete this result. Okay. Actually, and I'm going to show you one more thing too. That might be useful. And then I'm done. So let's see. It didn't see, Lambda's so quick. Even though I ran that, it's already done. it's already done with this. You see, so you didn't even see that go in the. Okay, so two things happen. One, when Lambda is working, it's fast, and so it did this result. We didn't even see it go in the table because it was already deleted, and you see how it's doubled in length here, so passed. Second thing is this was way earlier, and I deleted it, but it still was retrying it, and then it finally succeeded. So that's why this old one is in here and with the shorter length. Okay, last thing, there's this setting on DynamoDB called time to live. And so let's say you only want these results to be in here for, I don't know, let's say, a day, and then you want them to be deleted. You don't have to go through and go and determine, oh, this has been here for a day, this is not, right? There's a time to live here in additional settings, and you just click enable, and you set the attribute name. So let's say expiration stamp, right? Okay. And it will automatically delete the items that have that stamp. So what you would do is you would say expiration stamp number, and you would say, like, let's say you wanted to do a, run, like you wanted to delete in a day, right? You would get the current time and add 24. And for, you can do it here, you can do the Lambda function, doesn't matter, because you're going to put in task request, which means you want to pass it on. So then you want to go over here to the Lambda function and go expiration stamp equals Dynamo item expiration stamp and then number. Okay, and then you just go here and you go, oops, that, right? Okay, so deploy it. Okay, now I'm just going to run this. Okay, and let's see, is it already in the results table? Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, it is. So see, now it says this is a new task with the actual expiration stamp. See how it's underlined? It's because it's going to tell you when it's going to expire. And local time, you see that's March 16th. It's March 15th. And so it'll be expire in a day. So March 16th, March 15th. Yeah. Got it? Cool. All right. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.